Final.
Come championship bound, baby! Woo! Big club, baby! Woo! The year, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through.
We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship.
Bow, bow, bow! Let's go!
When Jacy Sheldon and the Connecticut Sun left Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Coulson hurt on the floor on May 30th, after the dirty plays went unpunished, the Indiana Fever remembered everything. When Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye during this rematch, something snapped, and Sophie Cunningham was about to deliver the most satisfying flagrant foul you've ever seen. If you agree with the Fever, leave a comment below. June 17th wasn't just another game, it was payback time. Spicy and CC, let's go, Sophie.
It was chippy the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with Jacy Sheldon as Caitlin Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft.
Retreating, firing, and hitting.
So she can do that.
On Indiana arguing the call.
I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye.
Image from May 30th, everything went horribly wrong for the Indiana Fever against the Connecticut Sun. The game began as a typical contest between two WNBA teams vying for spots, but the Sun's level of physicality went beyond being competitive to being dangerous, and you could sense the tension rising from the first tip.
Can we talk about the physicality for a second? Two players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was Jacy Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Coulson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Coulson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
Sydney Coulson was injured in another dubious play that left everyone wondering what was going on outside. The worst part was that Jacy Sheldon was right in the middle of both incidents, playing in an aggressive style that makes your blood boil. Sophie Cunningham went down first with what appeared to be a deliberate hit. The contact was too hard for what should have been routine basketball.
They weren't non-contact. They weren't ACLs. They weren't Achilles. They were contact injuries caused by the same player. And this kind of physicality that the WNBA they brag about. They say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the It's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're...
This is where the college history comes in. Sheldon and Clark had been at odds since their college days when they played Iowa versus Ohio State. Sheldon made it her goal to get under Clark's skin every time they squared off on the court, following him around. Slap her on the screen, talk trash when there are dead balls. This was now more than simply basketball. It was personal.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. Jacy Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy. Jacy Sheldon.
Mayday's officials appeared to overlook everything, as if they were witnessing a totally different game than everyone else. The Fever fought hard, but lost that game 85-83, but more significantly, they lost two important players to injuries that could have been avoided if the officials had properly controlled the game. Sydney Coulson and Sophie Cunningham were hurt, and their absence would be felt in the games that followed. Hard fouls went uncalled, dangerous plays were ignored, and Clark had to watch her teammates get hurt while Sheldon left without even a warning from the officials.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. And this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Coulson is between her and the ball. Sid Coulson is, in fact, between Jacy Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul.
The Fever would remember this game, remember who caused the injuries, and remember that the officials allowed it all to happen. You could see it in Clark's eyes after that loss, the way she looked at Sheldon during the handshake line, and the way she responded to questions in the post-game interview. June 17th couldn't have arrived sooner. Clark has recovered from her quad injury and is prepared to play the Connecticut Sun again after a convincing victory over the then unbeaten New York Liberty. This was her second game back after 3 weeks off the court, and you can tell she remembers every detail. This isn't just another game for her, based on what transpired the last time and how she approaches the court and observes the Sun players during warm-ups.
So she just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a three from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
Jacy Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
With the same aggressive style that injured Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Carlson back in May, the game begins with that familiar tension in the air. Sheldon is protecting Clark as if her life depended on it, getting too close for comfort and shadowing Clark during every possession, bumping her on screens, and doing all the other little things that make basketball ugly. Everyone in the arena can sense what's coming.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh. Then Marina steps in to protect JC.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, fouls Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
When Sheldon comes over to defend, Clark is bringing the ball up court when the third quarter begins. She tries what appears to be a steal attempt, but her finger goes right into Clark's eye. The contact is instantaneous and clear, and you can see Clark's head snap back from the impact.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark did.
As soon as she realizes what happened, Clark holds her face, and you can see the pain and rage blending together. She's squinting to try to see clearly, but you can see she's thinking about more than just the physical discomfort. This wasn't an accident. The same player who injured her teammates is now pursuing her using the same dishonest tactics that went unpunished before Clark does what any competitor would do. She pushes back, literally pushing Sheldon away from her after being poked in the eye. This is a normal reaction anytime someone pokes their finger into your eye socket, and the crowd erupts because everyone witnessed what actually happened. The refs are going to make everything worse.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. Jacy Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina, trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see a little bit of drama all the way around. Tina, Charles, Clark, and Mabrey, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Marina Mabrey chooses to handle things herself in the worst way imaginable when Clark receives that fictitious technical foul. Clark is still recovering from her eye injury when Mabrey arrives and does something that astounded everyone in the arena.
That's what Clark didn't like. And then Mabrey came in with a bump.
And Mabrey's day is almost assuredly going to be done.
And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, Jacy Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's going to have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, Like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
The crowd is going crazy because they can't believe what they're witnessing on their home court. Coach Stephanie White is going crazy on the sideline, screaming at the officials who are somehow still not seeing what's happening right in front of them. She's making wildly erratic gestures toward Mabrey in an attempt to get the referees to realize that this has gone far beyond normal basketball contact. The entire Fever bench jumps up because they just watched their star player get assaulted right in front of the officials. White is aware that her player was just singled out once more and that the officials are going to make another mistake.
Now, after this, you guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play, right? So the 3 referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over.
The referees give Mabrey a simple technical foul, the same punishment they gave Clark for protecting herself after being eye-poked. Take a moment to consider that Clark pushes the player away after being eye-poked, receiving a technical foul. In retaliation, Mab body checks Clark to the ground, receiving another technical foul. The math doesn't add up, and everyone in the building is aware of it.
The announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on Jacy Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And Jacy Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
White lashes out during the post-game press conference when the officials failed to take charge of the game and permit such incidents to occur. This has been going on throughout the season, and she has had enough of seeing her players singled out while the officials do nothing.
When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete, and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be.
The message was very obvious. In the final minute of the game, when Fever is ahead 87-70 and Sophie Cunningham sees Jacy Sheldon with the ball once more, the clock is running out, but her thoughts aren't on the score anymore. Instead, they are on May 30th, when she was hurt, watching Clark get her eye poked with no real consequences and Marina Mabrey body checking her teammate to the ground. At this point, the officials weren't going to protect Clark, so her teammates would have to do it themselves.
Now let's talk about Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, Jacy Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like it happened in a split second and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Recalling her own injury from that cruel May game, Cunningham recalls sitting on the bench with pain while Sheldon went about as if nothing had happened. She also recalls the officials ignoring everything while her teammates were singled out. Now, as Sheldon drives to the basket, Cunningham sees her opportunity.
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon. Again, as Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely.
This wasn't a basketball play. It was payback. It was justice. Sophie Cunningham was sending a very clear message that no one should mess with her teammates when she lines up Sheldon and commits the most satisfying flagrant foul you'll ever see. Cunningham wraps her up hard and pulls her to the floor. The officials give Cunningham a flagrant 2 foul, which results in her automatic ejection. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen are both dismissed for their roles in the altercation, which saw 3 players ejected. But the harm was done, and justice was ultimately done in that courtroom.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, Jacy Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and Jacy are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fans.
Clark leads the Fever to an 88-71 victory with 20 points and 6 assists, but it felt like much more than a triumph. With 16 points and 12 rebounds, Natasha Howard records her 50th double-double of her career. Kelly Mitchell scores 17 more points. Although this was a full team effort, everyone is aware of what was most important.
A rare miss at the rim for Aaliyah Boston, the league's top field goal percentage shooter in the WNBA, but it's Boston who comes up with the steal and the find to Howard. Clark working on the rookie. Clark on the drive. Hang, shot too strong. There's Howard to clean up.
And Clark working off the ball, comes off the stagger.
Third year in her WNBA in terms of setting up her teammates. Clark behind the back, feed inside. 2 more for Howard.
The victory takes the team to their first ever Commissioner's Cup final, but more significantly, it sends a message to the entire league about what happens when you target their players. This was more than just defeating the Sun. It was the Fever demonstrating that they will not be intimidated or bullied, and that they will defend themselves.
The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted.
After the brutal May 30th loss, the Fever exacted their revenge. After being eye-poked and having her body checked, Sophie Cunningham became a hero for standing up when it mattered most. Sometimes officials won't protect you, but your teammates will, as the Indiana Fever demonstrated to the basketball world on June 17th.
Oh, and Clark just took it away. It's a 2-on-1. Clark, bounce pass, pretty fine, and Mitchell won't miss from there.
This game demonstrated that the Indiana Fever are more than just a talented team. They are a family that stands by one another in difficult situations when the officials fail to defend their players. Sophie Cunningham and other teammates step up and take care of business on their own, demonstrating what true loyalty in professional sports looks like. After seeing how this team overcomes hardship and supports one another, 2025 appears to be more promising than ever for Fever supporters. Recall this instance when people tried to argue that loyalty isn't important in professional sports, and Sophie Cunningham proved them wrong. If you support the Fever, leave a comment below CC. The Commissioner's Cup final is scheduled for July 1st against the Minnesota Lynx. To ensure you don't miss anything, click the video on the screen, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We'll see you in the next.